The What It Takes Radio Company is proud. We're so glad that we can bring this program to you. It's not about us, it's about India. How do we support young men and women who want to share Jesus with India? Let's tell you more of the story and ask you to be a part of that. Welcome and greetings once again. My name is Stan Houston, and those of you who are a little bit familiar with the program, the Stanley Jones Radio School for Fully Alive Living is now back, and we are continuing to ask you to be a part of our ongoing and growing mission. Yes, the legend of Stanley Jones needs to continue. The wisdom, insight, and truth needs to continue. And when I first started this program asking people to get involved in it, we even used the word encore, which of course means that somebody has performed and they've been invited back to perform again. And we believe in encore living, that those of us who are growing older should go back and use some of our skills and perform them again. We're not called to retire and rest. We are also called to continue to make an investment in the young people of our times. That's our goal. I want very, very much to know that I've produced hundreds of radio programs, thousands of video programs. I've done a lot of that. I've written a lot of book material. But what I really want is that there will be a generation of young men and women who will take what I've learned, what I've taught them, and continue it on. Does that sound like somebody else you might know? That's what Jesus did. He said, I'm just here for 3 years. The rest is up to you, but the Spirit will come. But you've been with me. You know what I believe. You know what I teach. You've seen me work. Now go out into the whole wide world and tell others, share the wisdom of God, and tell my story. And that's what Stanley Jones did when he had that incredible surrender conversion moment. This young man decided in difficult times to take the story of Jesus, not Christian religion, not Western ways of thinking, not Western denominations, but take the stories of Jesus, combine it with the eternal wisdom of God, and introduce people to Jesus. Help them meet the real Jesus. Yeah, that's the real deal. And that's what he did, and he did it well for many, many, many years. And so now we have a legacy of many sermons, many writings, a number of books, and thanks to his granddaughter, Ann Matthews Eunice, much of that has been recollected, and it's ready for redistribution, much of it in modern form and in format. And we want to not only make it modern in form and format, but in the means of communication. As Anne said, if Stanley Jones were working today, he would be writing books, he would be making presentations, he would be doing radio and television podcasts, he would be using every means possible to invite people to fully aliveness by surrendering their life to Jesus. And that is what we want to help people do. And as a result of that, I would like you to please join us as we are seeking, and we now have some possibilities of some young men and women, and we're going to be seeking more who they are followers of Jesus, and they are also in the country of India, and many of them in the ethnic diaspora. There are Indian people all over the world now. And their languages, they know, the culture, they know, And they would be the best kinds of people to be on the podcast. Get rid of that old American. Hey, let's have people of India who will speak to the young people of India and make it possible for them to understand that they don't have to give up being Indian to be followers of Jesus. That's the goal, and that is the mission. And so I'm going to encourage you. I'm saying that every organization that is very much involved in any kind of legacy work of Stanley Jones should seek to immediately begin a program. Like I said, when I became a missionary, they made it quite clear to me. Here I was, a talented broadcaster, well educated, and I was all set to do the gospel work. And they made it very clear to me that that's fine, that's good, but ultimately you are to seek to be unemployed, in that you teach and learn and provide so that others who are of the language, of the culture, of the civilization, they will carry the message of Jesus. And you can go back to America then and, rest and relax and do your American thing. That's what I was taught that my job was. And absolutely it is and was, and I want to continue to make that possible. So I'm asking you to support Anne in the work at the Stanley Jones Foundation. I'm going to ask you to support this podcast work and help us. We are on the verge of having younger men and women who would do this, and then we are reaching out into the many churches that are Christian churches of the Indian diaspora, going and growing churches and encouraging these young men and women to not only minister to their Indian friends in this country, but literally minister to people all around the world. So that's what we're all about. And I'm not pleading, but I'm praying that you will find a way to help us do just that. Your recommendations, your ideas, your suggestions, your organization that might be related. There are many, many, many of the churches in the Wesleyan tradition and in the Methodist tradition and in the Anglican tradition and many, many, many others who really have a desire to reach the people of India. So please help us bring together that encore generation that will be living and teaching encores of the wisdom of Stanley Jones. One person said to me a couple times, I've had this conversation. A good friend of mine works for Apple. And she said, it's an incredible company. But, I'm not so sure that it's really what Steve Jobs would have liked it to be. And I spoke to another person who works in the Walt Disney Company. And he said, yeah, it's a profitable, but that's not what Walt Disney was all about. And I hear that story often of organizations that were founded by people who had a clear sense of mission and vision, but 2 or 3 generations, it kind of changes, it kind of becomes different, and in some cases, it is lost. We don't want that to happen with the Stanley Jones legacy. And I'm sure that what I am saying, I'm really sure that if he could be here right next to me, he would be saying, amen. That's what I want. That's what I want people to do. That's what I want as my living legacy. Thank you for listening. Obviously, my passion is intense. I hope that my ability to purpose it out and make it work, along with your help and the help of others that you recommend to us, that we can make this happen. that in 2026, as we're in the second quarter of the 21st century, and India is still a huge and growing place, but it's not necessarily very easy to be a strong Christian there. As someone has said, it was easier for Stanley Jones to be there than it might be for some of others to be there now. So let's ask the Lord and ask each other how we can be helpful. Please reach out to Stan at the E. Stanley Jones Foundation and help her and contribute to the mission she has. I would be grateful if you would help support the mission that we have as part of the Stanley Jones Radio School. Any contributions through that are tax deductible for United States purposes. But even if not, give anyhow. Best and blessings to you. I would be glad to speak in any of your organizations or your churches or in any way I can to tell people this kind of story and make it happen. Thank you for your time. I'm very grateful. Till next time, bye for now.